Now the frontier is exposed, and tens of thousands cross in a single winter. Vandals, Suebi, Alans, entire emigrating populations moving into Gaul. Again, this isn't really a traditional invasion. It's more like a mass movement of peoples through a collapsing border structure. Sounds a lot like the southern border. And there are no legions left to stop him. They sweep across Gaul and burn cities, seize farmland, and keep pushing south. This is exactly the kind of border failure that Stilicho had spent years trying to prevent. But the political system never gave him resources to actually stabilize the frontier for the long term. The Senate refuses major taxation increases. The Eastern Empire withdraws reinforcements. And Honorius, now emperor, barely understands what's happening around him. In fact, he's interested in his chickens. He's not an evil man, but he's quite irrelevant. He's raised inside the palace at Ravenna, isolated from military life, administration, and reality itself. He doesn't read military dispatches. In fact, he doesn't care. He raises those chickens we just talked about. And honestly, that detail matters because it shows the system has been selecting for over generations. Bureaucratic survival has gradually filtered out leaders capable of commanding armies or understanding a real crisis. What remains is a ceremonial figurehead. But the figurehead still has one crucial power. He can sign execution orders. And the people surrounding him, they're ready for him to use that. The man who ultimately destroys Stilicho is named Olympius. Most people haven't heard of him, which is fitting because figures like this almost always operate indirectly. Olympius is a palace official. He's a master of court politics, and he whispered accusations, maybe even a eunuch. He understands that the fastest route to power is eliminating who currently holds it. He starts constructing a narrative around Stilicho. He tells Honorius that Stilicho is secretly conspiring with Alaric. He intends to place his son, Eucharius, on the Eastern throne. His barbarian blood guarantees he's going to eventually be betrayed. None of it's true. Stilicho has spent 13 years fighting to hold the Western Empire together. He's defeated Alaric repeatedly, preserved the Rhine frontier as long as possible, and maintained the state largely through force of competence. But proximity to power changes how systems process information. Facts begin mattering less than the actual narrative. Olympius tells the clearer story than Stilicho does. In August of 408, Honorius signs the order. Stilicho is declared a public enemy in the West now. His allies are arrested and his family becomes a target. His life is forfeit. The man who saved the empire multiple times is suddenly defined as its greatest threat, because the machine has decided that he is. Stilicho hears the news before they even arrive to arrest him. And this is one of the greatest turning points of the story, because he absolutely could have resisted, but he chose not to. 10,000 Federate troops are personally loyal to him. He could march on Ravenna, seize power, and likely win. I don't think those chickens are stopping him. He could become exactly what his enemies claim he already is, but he doesn't want to. Instead, he takes refuge in a church and claims sanctuary. He's trying to de-escalate the situation, but he's not really winning. The soldiers alive swear he'll be safe and promise him mercy if he comes out. So Stilicho walks out of the church. They seize him immediately, read the charges, and draw their swords. Flavius Stilicho is executed on the 22nd of August in 408, at 48 years old. Soon after, his son Eucharius is hunted down and killed. His wife Serena is eventually strangled during Alaric's later siege of Rome. They purge his supporters. His Federate troops lose their positions. The machine completes the purge expertly. And the consequences begin almost immediately. First, the Federate soldiers who served under Stilicho for years, Goths, Huns, Alans, men whose loyalty to Rome had depended on their relationship with Stilicho, well, now their commander is dead. Their families are being targeted. So they leave. Roughly 10,000 of them march directly to Alaric's camp. The army Stilicho built to defend Italy becomes the army that will later destroy it. Then the Gothic auxiliaries serving in the regular Roman legions watch what happened, and they get the message. Your service doesn't make you Roman, but your blood matters more. And your blood is never going to be Roman enough. So they desert too, not in the dozens, but in the thousands. Then the borders collapse even further. Without a functioning field army, the Rhine crossings spread unchecked through Gaul and Spain. Constantine III rises out of Britain and seizes power in Gaul. The Western Empire starts fragmenting into competing regional territories. And all this happens in less than 2 years. That's the part that people often miss. Stilicho had been holding the entire system together through his relationships, through competence, and through his force of personality. But there's no deeper institutional structure underneath him capable of surviving his removal. No replacement, no succession, and no mechanism. There's no stable state bureaucracy behind him.